Hello, welcome to topic 2 of BA2082 Financial Regulations and Compliance. In topic 2, we'll be covering the overview of the Singapore Regulatory Bodies and Association. It is basically a follow-up from topic 1 where we were discussing about the broad regulatory objectives and principles that is applied globally. Right? So in this topic, we'll be zooming into the Singapore context. Right? In Singapore, our regulator is MAS. Right? So in this topic, we will zoom into how MAS perform their regulatory functions. These are the topic objectives of topic 2. As I mentioned earlier on, your lecture videos will be based on all these topic objectives. Alright, so in this topic, there will be total of 5 videos covering all these 5 topic objectives. The first one, we are going to explain the role of MAS, right, and its objectives as a regulator here in Singapore, followed by MAS 12 key principles of good supervision. Over here, we just want to stress that the topic 1, we have talked about the broad regulatory principles that is applied globally. These 12 key principles are the specific principles that MAS have guided themselves, all right, in performing their regulatory functions. All right. 2.3, we will then talk about the role of SGX. Right. Later on, you will understand why is it important to talk about SGX. SGX is the only securities exchange here in Singapore. So there are a lot of trading activities. In fact, all the trading activities in Singapore is done in SGX. That's why it's so important. Then we'll follow by explaining some of the roles of other regulatory bodies that's out there other than MAS. Lastly, which is also a very important part, we will also distinguish between the different sources of regulation. So when we get to that, then I will explain a little bit more, right? This is the pilot activity that's coupled with in this topic. So please do scan in the QR code or copy the web link into your browser to get prepared for any discussion, okay, along the way in this lecture. Right, let me just quickly start. Okay, MAS, our regulator, is established in 1971 under the MAS Act. Okay, this is the mission to promote sustain a non-inflationary economic growth and a sound progressive financial services sector. I am underlining and bolding this piece because this is what we are focusing in this module. Other than being a regulator, we know that the functions of MAS extends to conducting of monetary policy, as you have learned in your financial markets and institution, right? And issuance of currency, oversights of payment system, and serving as a banker, right, to the other financial institution in Singapore. Again, I have bold and underlined the important functions here that we are focusing in this module, which is to regulate and supervise the financial sector. These are the objectives, or you can say it is the desired outcomes that is explicitly stated by MAS in order to help them perform their regulatory functions properly. All right. So the first objective is to have Singapore have a stable financial system. All right. Second one, having safe and sound intermediaries in the system. Third one, having a safe and efficient infrastructures. Fourth, have a fair and efficient transparent market. And then we have fifth one, transparent and fair dealing intermediaries and offerers. And the last one being well-informed and empowered consumers. So what does all this really mean? You can draw the analogy of all these objectives as a human body. Okay, let me just explain. So if you have a human body, having a stable financial system basically just means having a healthy body. All right, you draw that analogy. Okay, it provides a basis for the participants, right, in the financial system to trade in the financial markets, to use the service of the financial institution with confidence. Right, this is the overarching objective to all the other 5 objectives that is stated here. Right, so basically having a stable financial system is having a healthy body, and then you have safe and sound intermediaries. Intermediaries basically means the banks, the financial institution like the insurance companies, the broker dealer, the fund management firms, so on and so forth. All right, so this you can draw the analogy to having a healthy body organs. Okay, so if the body is a whole system, these intermediaries are like organs in our body. Okay, so we want to have safe and sound intermediaries, meaning we also, to have a healthy body, we need to have these body organs working properly. All right, and then we move on to safe and efficient infrastructure. Okay, you can draw the same analogy. Safe and efficient infrastructure basically means that you have a good, healthy network of arteries and veins in your body. All right, what do arteries and veins do? Basically, they will have to transport blood, right, and oxygen into different parts of your organs so that your organs are working properly. All right, so the infrastructure basically, right, if you draw the analogy, is the arteries and veins of a body. All right. So having a fair, efficient, and transparent markets, this is self-explanatory, because this is really talking about if you have all this, if you have a healthy body, basically you will have a market which is having very confident, all right, high market confidence. You have a fair market which is characterized by proper trading practices, fair access to market facilities and information, and structures that do not tilt the playing field in favor of some other market users over the others. All right, basically just trying to be fair. All right, and what this in this objective, right, MAS actually seeks to deter, detect, and penalize this market rigging, market manipulation, insider trading, fraud, deceit, and other unfair trading conduct. All right, so the fifth one is transparent and fair dealing, intermediaries, and offerers. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, this is basically prescribing, all right, some disclosure requirements. Okay, later on in the module, you will learn more about all this, right? What is disclosure requirements and things like that, all right? Conducting fit and proper tests, right, to promote honesty and integrity among the financial institution. Again, their representative, the people who are working there. Okay, setting competency requirements for those providing the services, the financial services in the capital market, and instilling, fair business practice in the marketing and distribution of financial service and products. Okay, we also need these intermediaries and offerers to uphold high professional standards when dealing with customers. All right, basically fair business practices. Okay, just to reiterate, right? Intermediaries, just now we were talking about the different body organs, they are the financial institution. Just want to draw this difference in what we mean by offerers. Offerers are basically the financial institutions who are providing the frontline products and services to the customers or to the consumers, right? The last one is well-informed and empowered consumers. Okay, what does this mean? This means that this is like the blood in the body, all right? So this means that consumer need to bear the responsibility for protecting their own interests. Okay, not only are we trying to make sure that the intermediaries are doing their job well, we must also help consumers, all right, being responsible for their own actions. Right, they should exercise due care in their selection of the financial products that they are going into, to the banking service that they are subscribing to, and but MAS really cannot protect consumers from the risks that their investments have, but we can empower them, we can inform them of the risk that they are taking, and then they have to make that decision. All right, so MAS play a role in helping consumers to be well informed and empowered. Seeks to address risk to consumer, okay, stemming from insufficient, false, or misleading disclosure, conflict of interest, mis-selling, and misrepresentation. There's basically unfair practices that's done by the intermediaries. All right, so they also play a role in helping consumers to be educated, right, in that area. Okay, so of course they also require the financial institution and the offerers, again, right, of investment to make full and prompt and accurate disclosure of the material information to consumer. This is very important. All right, if I want to sell you something, I need to tell you all about this product so that you make the most well-informed decision you can make. So in this objective, we are also trying to make sure that these financial institutions are doing all these things, disclosing things that they should be disclosing. All right, so MAS also works with a lot of public sector agencies and industry associations in helping to equip these consumers with basic money management skills. All right, you have heard of money sense, you know, they have financial literacy, financial planning, in investment skill. You can take courses, you know, that MAS is organizing. All these are supposed to help consumers to be more empowered, right, in their investments decisions. Okay, under this objective, you know, consumers should have also a fair recourse to impartial and efficient dispute resolution mechanism. Okay, that means court litigation. If in a case where there is an issue, right, between the financial institution and the consumer, there should be a proper channel for the consumer, right, to be able to report and to be able to seek redress, right, for this bad business practices that is being conducted by the financial institution, right? So all in all, if you really look at an analogy, and the analogy is basically like a healthy body, right? You need to have a healthy body. If any part of the body organs is not working fine, then the whole system will collapse, right? Then you need to have the arteries and veins, which is infrastructure. You need to have the blood. The blood is basically the consumers who are using the banking services, right? And nutrition. Just now we were talking about well-informed and empowered consumers, right? So the nutrition to the body is really, right, to make sure that the system receive the correct guidance, right? In terms of consumers, we are actually trying to educate them so that they can make informed decisions, right? So this is the analogy. So you can imagine if, you know, what's not good, right? When there are bacteria and viruses attacking the body, right? Where there are blocked arteries, right? The arteries are not doing well. What happens? Right? Not enough blood to the organs. What happens? Right? Then you will have failed organs, right? So when you have failed organs, what happens to the healthy body? It's no longer healthy, right? So this is basically how we look at, if you want to, you know, remember it properly, you can, you know, put this analogy in place so that it can help you to remember all the different objectives that that MAS have stated explicitly, okay, in conducting their financial regulatory functions. Okay. Right, in order to achieve those objectives that I just mentioned, right, these are the functions that is helping them to do that. All right, these are the oversight functions under what they call the supervisory aspect under MAS functions. All right, so there are 6 of them. All right, the first one is regulations. This is self-explanatory again. Right, this function allows MAS to set rules and standards that govern the behavior, right, of the financial markets and institution. Okay, the second one is authorization. Okay, what does authorization means? It means that this function acts as a gatekeeper, right, for institutions that wish to offer any financial services in Singapore. All right, the example would be what? Having licenses, right? For banks to be able to operate here in Singapore, they need to apply for a license. So if you do not have a license, you cannot apply. It's the same thing as driving, right? You need to have a driving license before you can start driving, right? So this is how the government controls the quality of the institution that is going into the system. This is how the government controls the quality of drivers in Singapore by issuing driving license. Okay, this is what it means, authorization. Then the third one is supervision. Other than giving the regulations, setting the regulations for the financial institution to follow, you need to supervise them. You need to supervise the conduct of the business. Okay, continuous supervision. All right, of the business that's conducted by these banks and the financial institution. Fourth one is surveillance. Surveillance is basically monitoring what kind of vulnerabilities in the system that may surface, right? And this one, they really need to have a lot of cooperation with the financial institution to get data, all right? And then to try to monitor, you know, what is happening in the market and to intervene wherever that is possible. Okay, so this is surveillance. So the next one is enforcement. As for enforcement, is also pretty easy to understand, because if you have a regulation, all right, if you don't enforce this regulation, then the regulation is no use, right? It's just like if I say that you cannot park your car in a double yellow line, for example, right? But there's no enforcement. That means there's no traffic police, you know, monitoring. There's no CCTV, you know, looking if anybody is breaching the rule. If there's no enforcement, then anybody can just, you know, just breach the rule without anybody catching them, right? So this enforcement function allows, you know, MAS to take action against these institution individuals who breach these requirements, right? Then the last one is resolution. Resolution is basically giving the MAS the power, right, to resolve non-viable institution. If the institution is not doing well, right, if the institution has a risk of affecting the whole system, MAS has the power, right, to resolve them. That means to close them down, to make sure that they don't pollute the whole system. Okay, at this point, you might want to go to your Padlet right now. Just a very small activity, right? You pick any game, all right? You can pick any game that you know, and you just need to describe two equivalent functions that apply to that game that you just picked. Okay, just two. I will just give you an example. Okay, I like to watch soccer, right? If I'm watching soccer, for example, the enforcement will be what? Will be the red card, the yellow card that is being issued by the referee whenever they see a foul, right? That's enforcement. So you can pick any game, right, that you know, and then just describe two of these equivalent functions, right, that you can recognize that applies to that game, right? You can do that now. Okay, this is just a very easy to understand, easy to refer to infographic that is extracted from MAS to show you, their mission, their objectives, and what are the functions that helps them, right, to achieve those objectives and finally, achieve their mission. All right, so over here, you can see that, the mission was to promote, okay, a sound and progressive financial service sector. This is like the overarching, kind of mission that they want to achieve. And then remember the 6 desired outcomes or objectives that I've explained earlier on. And then under that, the pillars, right? These are the 6 functions, right, that they perform or facilitate in order to achieve these objectives. You can see regulations, authorization here, supervision, surveillance, enforcement, and resolution. Okay, we will take this out for a moment. Later on in the next video, we'll be talking about the 12 principles. These are the principles that underpins how they are going to perform these functions. All right, so in the next video, we will talk about that. All right, see you.